In a sharp escalation of political and legal tensions in Washington, Democratic lawmakers, survivors of Jeffrey Epstein's abuse, and watchdog groups have accused the U.S. Department of Justice, DOJ, of failing to fully comply with the Epstein Files Transparency Act, a federal law requiring the release of government documents connected to the disgraced financier's abuse and associated investigations. On Friday, January 30th, 2026, the DOJ disclosed roughly 3 million pages of documents, including more than 2,000 videos and 180,000 images from its files on Epstein, in what Deputy Attorney General Todd Blanche called the largest declassification to date. The release was described by officials as an effort to comply with the Epstein Files Transparency Act, passed by Congress and signed into law in November 2025. Despite this large disclosure, critics argue the Justice Department has only made public about half of the records identified as responsive by the department itself. DOJ internal estimates reportedly identified over 6 million potentially relevant pages of material consisting of emails, interview summaries, images, videos, and other investigative documents, but roughly 3.5 million pages remain unshared or heavily redacted. Top Democratic lawmakers have reacted with vehement criticism. Representative Robert Garcia, ranking Democrat on the House Oversight Committee, called the partial release outrageous and incredibly concerning, accusing Attorney General Pam Bondi of violating the law by withholding significant proportions of the files. Ro Khanna, co-author of the transparency legislation, has likewise warned that the DOJ's approach undermines the law's intent. The Democrats and bipartisan sponsors of the act have demanded access to unredacted materials, including FBI interview statements with victims, a draft indictment from the 2007 case, and extensive content from Epstein's personal digital devices, items they argue could reveal potential co-conspirators and failures of law enforcement. Survivors of Epstein's abuse also expressed anger at the release. Though the public release was intended to improve transparency, survivor advocates say the DOJ's heavy redactions have paradoxically exposed survivors to renewed scrutiny while protecting powerful figures who may have been complicit or associated with Epstein. They argue that the pace and scope of disclosures reflect an institutional failure to prioritize victims' interests. The dispute underscores broader tensions between Congress and the executive branch over transparency and accountability. The Epstein Files Transparency Act was passed with overwhelming bipartisan support in 2025, requiring the DOJ to make unclassified Epstein-related records public by a statutory deadline, originally set for December 19, 2025. DOJ missed that deadline and initially released only a fraction of materials, prompting intensified congressional scrutiny and ongoing legal and legislative efforts. House oversight leaders have issued subpoenas demanding full unredacted files, and lawmakers warn they could pursue further legal action or sanctions if compliance does not improve. The partial document release has also brought to light previously unseen elements of the Epstein case, sparking public interest and controversy. Some materials have revealed communications with prominent figures, while DOJ officials maintain that protections for privacy and ongoing investigations justify redactions and delays. Critics, however, contend that the DOJ's selective disclosure may shield influential individuals and obscure critical facts about how Epstein operated and who may have enabled him. The dispute has become not only a legal battle over compliance, but also a broader political flashpoint about government transparency and justice for survivors.